Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and today I want to talk about a national injunction that was entered just a couple hours ago from when I'm recording this on the Corporate Transparency Act. And if you're not familiar with the Corporate Transparency Act, it's where you have to, it's this government program that's through FinCEN, where you're reporting beneficial ownership information on entities, including people that have authority over an entity or controlling, or have controlling authority like a CEO or a CFO. And then owners that are greater than a certain percentage. There are exceptions. It's extremely complicated. But for small LLCs, corporations, any entity that's filed with the state, including some trusts, limited partnerships, things like that, if you file with the state, then this disclosure requirement to FinCEN was hanging over your head. And if you had set up an entity prior to 2024, your timeline was coming up. It was going to be January 1st, 2025, when you had to have that filing complete. So firms like ours have been trying to get these done and get our clients in the queue to get these processed just at a breakneck pace as of late. I know just about everybody's in that same boat where we were looking at that deadline going, my gosh, the penalties for not filing were, as of today, I think it was $561 per day. It says 500, but it's indexed for inflation. So I think we're looking at 561 because it was enacted several years ago. It just came into enforce this last year. So if you were filing an entity in 2024, you had to comply within 90 days. If you were an entity prior to 2024, you had until the end of the year. And so there was people at this mad end of the year scramble. And here comes this court. It's Texas Chop Shop Inc. versus Merrick Garland. And I think there was 5 or 6 different plaintiffs, including the National Federation of Independent Businesses. There was a farm in Wisconsin. There was a bunch of different plaintiffs. And they convinced a Texas judge, and I'll put a couple of the documents up here. They convinced a Texas judge to enjoin nationally the enforcement of the Corporate Transparency Act. So what does that mean for you? It means as of right now, you don't have to comply. I don't know whether it's going to push timelines out. It's a court action in one circuit. So other circuits potentially, well, I guess they couldn't overrule this one. They may end up having to go to the Supreme Court to get relief, or, the judge could always rescind the injunction. Stuff like that does happen. So you want to be watching. But as of right now, it looks like we have a reprieve, and that the Corporate Transparency Act is in hot water as to whether it's going to be enforced. So at least one court here has decided it's unenforceable nationally. There was an Alabama case earlier in the year that found that it was unenforceable against specific plaintiffs. It's very interesting because the government in this particular case argued for the National Federation of Independent Businesses that an injunction that was imposed against those members was essentially a nationwide injunction. And the court said, you know what, you're right. Let's just do the nationwide injunction. So the government kind of shot itself in the foot there. But it just means that as of today, and I'm sitting here on December 4th, I'm going to try to get this video out as quickly as I can so you can at least make an educated decision with your professional as to whether you're going to file if you haven't done so. But as of right now, it looks like we're off the hook as far as having to file these things. If you have filed, I wouldn't be worried about it. My guess is that they're either going to restructure it, maybe narrow it if there's something wrong with interstate commerce, which is what happened in Alabama, where they said, hey, for an entity that's not engaged in interstate commerce, you're asking them to do something federally. And it's usually left to the states. So they granted an injunction against those specific, for those specific plaintiffs against the government. And here we have a nationwide injunction against the government on the Corporate Transparency Act. So stay tuned for more information. I'm sure we'll be addressing this in greater detail as facts come to light. But as of right now, Texas Top Cop Shop Inc. versus Merrick Garland, a national injunction, which the plaintiffs moved for, was granted.